There's a particular kind of tired that has nothing to do with how much you slept. You did everything right today, took your pills, watched the carbs, even took your walk this morning, and by 8 at night your legs feel like they're full of wet sand, and any thought of being close to your wife just evaporates. Not because you don't want to, because there's nothing left in the tank. I'm Frank. I'm 83, and most evenings now I've got enough left in me at 8 o'clock to actually be present. Not just upright, present. My wife and I still hold hands on the porch after dinner most nights, and I'm not thinking about my meter while we do it. That took me a long time to earn back. I want to walk you through exactly how, because it's not what you think, and it's not complicated. For years, I split my body into 2 separate files. File 1, diabetes. Pills, meter, doctor's appointments, the number that wouldn't behave no matter how carefully I ate. File 2, everything else, including what happened or didn't happen once the lights went out. I treated those as 2 unrelated men living in one body, one tired, one embarrassed. Turns out they were never separate. They were the same exhausted circulatory system wearing 2 different masks. Here's what nobody warned me about getting older with elevated blood sugar. It's not just the number on the meter that suffers. It's every single system downstream of your blood vessels, and there are a lot of them. Your legs when you stand up too fast. Your focus by 3 in the afternoon. And yes, the thing you don't say out loud at the dinner table, the thing that used to just happen, and now requires a level of hope you're not sure you have some nights. I used to lie there next to my wife, both of us pretending to already be asleep, and feel like I'd let her down twice, once for not trying, and again for not being honest about why. That's a heavier weight than most men admit to carrying. It's not really about performance. It's about the quiet fear that your own body has quietly resigned from the marriage without telling either of you first. And here's the part that made me angry, if I'm honest. Nobody, not one doctor in years of appointments, ever sat me down and said, "The fatigue you're describing and the other thing you're not describing are connected, and here's why." I got 8 minutes, a nod, and let's check your A1C again next visit. I don't think anybody was hiding it on purpose. I think the visit is built for the meter and the prescription refill, not for the whole man sitting in the chair. But that silence left me thinking I had 2 separate failures instead of one shared root cause. So I went looking myself, the way I always do when nobody else will explain it. And what I found changed how I understood every tired evening I'd had in years. While you sleep, your liver releases stored sugar into your bloodstream. It's called the dawn phenomenon, and it's been documented in endocrinology research for decades. It happens to everybody, young or old. But after 60, insulin usually can't keep pace with that overnight release the way it used to, so the sugar builds up faster than your body clears it. That's why your morning number climbs even after a perfect dinner. It was never about what you ate at 7. It's about what your liver does at 3 in the morning while you're powerless to stop it. Here's the part that connects the fatigue to everything else. Elevated blood sugar sitting in your bloodstream for hours doesn't just sit there quietly. Research on diabetes and vascular health has documented for years that it damages the thin lining inside your blood vessels, the endothelium, which is responsible for releasing nitric oxide, the molecule that tells blood vessels to relax and open up so blood can move through. When that lining is worn down night after night, nitric oxide drops, and vessels stay tighter everywhere in your body, including the ones that matter most in the evening. Less flow means less energy walking up the stairs, less focus by mid-afternoon, and yes, less reliable performance where you need it most. It's one plumbing system, straining in 3 places at once. You do everything right. You eat clean, you take your pills, and the next morning that number is still too high. I know that frustration. I lived it for years. They never tell you about the morning rise, your sugar climbing while you sleep, no matter what you did the day before. You wake up, you test, and it feels like the work didn't count, like you're stuck depending on more and getting nowhere. I was done feeling powerless. I didn't want to throw out my doctor's plan. I wanted something natural and simple I could add to it, something that finally moved that morning number. I'll walk you through what changed it for me. and the natural support I add every day is in the free presentation linked below. So if fatigue and evening performance both trace back to the same overworked bloodstream, the real fix was never a pill timed for the moment. It was closing the overnight sugar gap before it ever built up. And that's where the trick comes in. Except it's not a trick at all. It's timing. Here's exactly what I do and when. 10 minutes after dinner, not 30, not whenever I feel like it. 10 minutes, starting within about 20 minutes of putting the fork down, I walk. Around the block, up and down the driveway, doesn't matter. What matters is the timing, because that's the window when your blood sugar is climbing fastest from the meal you just ate. Here's why that specific window works. When your muscles move, they pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream through a pathway called GLUT4. And this is the key part, that pathway doesn't need insulin to work. Exercise physiologists have documented this mechanism for decades. So even in a body where insulin isn't keeping up anymore, a short walk right after eating clears sugar through a completely separate door. Less sugar sitting in your bloodstream for hours means less overnight damage to that vessel lining, which means more nitric oxide available when you actually need blood flow later that evening. That's the real trick, not a supplement timed for the bedroom, but a habit timed for the hour right after dinner, so your vessels aren't still fighting a sugar spike by the time it matters. But I'd be lying if I told you the walk alone did all of it. What actually turned things around was treating it as a small system, not one lucky habit. The second piece, I stopped eating my carbs first at dinner. Now I eat vegetables and protein before I touch the bread or the potato. Researchers studying meal sequencing have found that eating protein and fiber before carbohydrates blunts the glucose spike that follows. Same meal, same calories, a gentler curve. Less spike means less overnight liver overload and less strain on those same blood vessels. The third piece, a cooler bedroom and a consistent bedtime. Sleep research has linked fragmented, poor sleep to higher overnight cortisol, and cortisol pushes your liver to dump even more glucose while you sleep. I keep my room cooler than I think I need it, and I go down at the same time most nights. It sounds too small to matter. It isn't. A 10-minute walk after dinner, vegetables before bread, a cooler room at bedtime. 3 habits aimed at the same overnight chemistry, working together instead of one lonely trick carrying the whole load. These days, my after-dinner walk is the best 10 minutes of my evening, not a chore I'm gritting my teeth through. Some nights my wife comes with me, and we talk about nothing important, and I come back inside actually looking forward to the rest of the evening instead of dreading whether my body will cooperate. I sleep deeper. I wake up without that sandbag feeling in my legs. I think about a man named Roscoe, 74, a retired high school football coach out of Baton Rouge, who told me almost the exact same story. The after-dinner exhaustion, the quiet distance that crept into the bedroom, and years of assuming it was just his age catching up with him. He wasn't chasing a miracle pill. He wanted his evenings back, the way I did. That's really the whole thing underneath all of this. Not proving anything to anybody, just getting to feel like yourself again, at the hour that used to belong to you and your wife. If you're on medication for your blood sugar, your blood pressure, or your heart, talk to your doctor before changing your routine. This kind of support works alongside your treatment, never instead of it. I've watched people get impatient and stop their prescriptions chasing a shortcut, and it never goes well. There's no shortcut here. There's a habit, done at the right minute of the evening, every evening. Here's what I want you to carry with you. Think about the men your age who got their evenings back, and the ones who quietly gave up on them. It usually wasn't willpower that separated them. It was whether they paid attention to the 20 minutes after dinner, the window everybody else ignores, instead of waiting for a pill to undo hours of damage after the fact. It's not too late for your body to answer back in that window. I'm 83, and most evenings mine still does. If you watched this whole thing, you're not the type who gives up. You're the type who keeps looking for a real answer. So let me be straight with you. The morning number isn't your fault, and it isn't just diabetes. It's the dawn rise, and it responds to the right daily habits. The goal was never to quit your treatment. It was to support it naturally so you finally see that number move and feel in control again. Alongside the steps I showed you, I take a simple, natural support every day to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range. Affordable, easy, and it works with my doctor's plan, not against it. The free presentation is in the description below. Go see it for yourself. And keep your doctor in the loop. This is support, not a replacement. If any part of tonight sounded like your own evenings, the tiredness, the quiet distance, the story you've told yourself that it's just age, tell me in the comments. I read every one, and you are not the only man carrying this quietly. And if this changed how you think about the 20 minutes after dinner, subscribe, because there's more of this coming, and I don't want you to miss it.